Here we go.
That's it.
Yeah. So the professor, guys, his new name is the Professor. And we're here at El Reno Coin in El Reno with a coin dealer I found and doing another video. So we brought some stuff out and we're just going to let the pro here tell us all about the stuff I should maybe stack, the stuff I shouldn't stack. We're going to look at some gold, some of the pieces that he has, and then maybe pull out some really cool old coins and check them out. And we have Mrs. SSC right there, so we'll show her. And let's just go over here and look at, because one of our viewers, guys, wanted to see all this eye candy. Let's call it eye candy. So I'm going to slow down just a little bit as we're doing this video so we can see, so you can window shop. And so we'll just call this window shopping with SSC window shopping. So we're just going to roll down here a little bit. I can't probably maybe not get all of it. We'll pull some of it out here in just a little bit, and we're going to learn. We're going to get our learn on with the professor at El Reno Coin. And wow, that's pretty cool. And look at there, we got some pretty cool stuff right here, guys. I think we showed this to you last time. There's some more stuff there. And we got some really cool stuff right here, guys. And then we're going to talk about also the difference in PCGS and why he carries a lot of these in a different grading company, NGC. Because I think a lot of it's preference, guys, but we'll talk about that. Some more goodies right here, guys. Slow it down just a little bit. Let me get back over here. I kind of blew that one out, but we're going to check these out. So, Rich, while we're doing this, what is your thoughts on silver and gold right now? I mean, we're 36 something this morning as of close of yesterday, and gold was over $3,400.
I love it. Man, we'll, the principle is buy low and sell high.
Right.
But, if you're stacking or if you're investing, the principle you really want to try to stick with is buy as close to spot as you can. And so when you're buying, that is your low, so to speak, as close to spot as you can. Every now and then you might get something at spot or a little below. But ultimately, you want your investment to grow. So whenever we see gold and silver increase, stable, a little at a time, not just a big burst and then a big loss, but as long as it's climbing slowly in the right direction, that's what we're looking for. You want to hold something 4 or 5 years, and if an emergency comes up, you don't want to be upside down. And of course, if you're putting it away for retirement or something like that, you definitely want your investment to pay off. And so I know there's investments out there that probably pay more, but in the long run, I don't know that there's any mutual fund or any type of investment in stocks or whatever that could compete with gold and silver over, the history, the way it's done. So
Well,
it's great to see it go up.
Well, we're all happy that it goes up, because when we do either trade or sell, we're making money.
You bet.
I mean, it's like playing the stock market. Basically, you can either hold it. People say hold gold for a long time, hold silver for a long time.
Yeah.
And, and that's basically stacking. But, some people like myself, get stuff like this.
Yeah,
It's still silver.
it is.
But what do you think as far as the thought process in, let's say, currency silver, like these, the Brit stuff, the Canadian stuff? We've got quite a bit of it.
Well, your sovereign backed stuff is, I like to call them the Cadillacs of the of the stacking or collecting world, because they're made by government. Everybody trusts them because they're not a private person or a private mint. They hold a little more clout. The thing is if you always keep that principle of buying, when you're buying, if you can stay as close to spot as you can, you reduce your time in being a little over to get that red out of the way and get back into the black. And time is usually a lot shorter if you can get it closer to spot when you're buying. Now, I will say this, just as much as a principle as that, always get what you're happy with, because some people love Ford, some people love Chevy, some people love Dodge, and they draw the line there. So if buying sovereign backed silver makes you happy and you feel comfortable, I would do that. If like something like this, if you find something like this is 5 troy ounces. I mean, this is right now today in my shop. This would be $39 times 5.
Okay.
So if you could find this for $37, that's cheaper. I'm not so sure if I'm putting it back. I wouldn't buy this. But if this is not what you want, this is not what you're looking for, and you're more comfortable with, say, a Libertad or a Maple Leaf or something like that, by all means get it, because you know what? These are investments for each individual person. And if you're not comfortable with something, I wouldn't do it, because these things are going to be yours. Whenever you get the gold, same principles apply.
Remember that? We picked this up on our last video.
Yeah, I think some cowboy dropped that back in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And I think his whole family's been kicking it around on the street.
I actually cleaned it a little bit just because, for fun, in a video. And of course, the video didn't do very good, but people are like, "Don't do that." Well, I couldn't even see it. So
these are the ones that I always tell everybody. They say, "Well, I know you're not supposed to clean a coin," and I always tell them, "Well, you know what? Give this one to your 6-year-old and teach them how to skip it on the pavement, because you aren't going to damage this coin."
Right.
This coin is, it fell out of the ugly tree, and it I don't think it hit the ground.
And
somebody pulled it off a limb.
It just, it's got a history. I mean, I told him, I said, it looked like it'd been through the garbage disposal about 10 times,
Yeah. When a coin's damaged like this, if this coin was uncirculated, the truth is, this is about a $200 coin.
Right.
That's another thing that a lot of people,
if it was uncirculated, if in perfect condition.
Yes. Yeah. If this was in a mint state, uncirculated condition, this is well over $200. And that's another thing too, is you can't go back in time and change things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like you and me. You get a scar on you, you get 40 years on you, you play ball and your knees hurt. We can't go back in time and fix that. There's a lot of guys that, they get confused. They say, "Hey, I looked this up and it's a $200 coin," and it's not. This is worth its weight in silver, and that's about it. And I would try to buy it at spot.
Now, we bought these just because of who we are, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically just worth melt value, correct? Or those?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you know,
there, I want. It's important for people to know, and this is a good example right here. Um, we can look at this right here. Let me give you an example here because we've been talking about this one, and then let me show one of these bars because a lot of people they don't know this. This right here under the Oklahoma law, if you're putting coins back, stacking, or if you're just collecting, if you're what you're saving is in the form of a bar, like even square, rectangle, a form of a bar or a round, whether it's little round, if it's a thick one, it doesn't matter. You are covered on your stacking. When it comes tax time, these do not fall under that shelter. And the reason being is because they're not in the form of a round or a bar, and they don't meet the legal definition of a coin collection
but
that you're stacking.
these are covered.
These are covered,
And these right
you know,
here, these, that's a Germania.
exactly. It doesn't matter if it's a pour. It doesn't matter if it's pressed. As long as it's round, it doesn't matter the size. You have big round like that. Doesn't matter if it's infused or minted or just the shape is the legal definition. And anything else under the law here in Oklahoma is considered a piece of art. And so people get those confused a lot of times with art bars. And so if you have an old bar, kind of like this one that's got a picture on it, this is an art bar, but it is a bar.
Okay.
So it's good to go because its form is a bar. Or if you get something that's got an art engraving or something, but it's on a round, you're covered. But if you've got, I know there's a lot of guys that collect these new things coming out from the North Texas Mint, and they're little Minute Men, and then they have another little series coming out that are actual World War II Army men, and they look just like the old antique green plastic Army guys that we all grew up with, but they're making them out of silver. And that might be okay for Texas, but in Oklahoma,
wouldn't fly,
technically, as a dealer, if I had those, I would pay tax on them. I would charge you tax on them, and they're different standards.
People don't know that.
Yeah, and so those are the type of things. Hopefully, your other dealers around are checking these things out,
and these are covered too, like these Roosevelt.
Yeah. They don't any way, shape, or form. It's in a bar around. You are covered.
Golly. Well, that's good.
I hope I didn't make a lot of people mad because I know there's a lot of people probably thinking, "Oh, dang, You
are the professor, my man." Let's ask about, and we'll move back to this stuff because we'll talk about some fractionals, like something like this. Let's talk about this Gold Angel because, I mean, we picked this up, but I mean, it's in. I had one dealer said, "Hey, I would just take this out of this and sell the gold." What's your thought process on that? I didn't
Well, again, you always want to stick to principle number one, and that's buying anything. If you're putting it back for the purpose of owning gold or silver, get it as close to spot as you can. And a lot of times, especially dealers, and I know this because I've worked around almost every one in Oklahoma and some in Texas. A dealer, we're not going to take the time to pull that out or whatever. We're going to buy it right, and we're going to pay you for the gold coin. We're not going to pay for the plastic and the little deal. So 9 times out of 10, with a little looking, even if you have to hit the internet, you can probably find stuff like this for close to spot. Now, if this is a 20 franc coin, you get one of these graded, like one of these,
Yeah.
then there's a price guide comes into play, and certain grades command, if
Well, how
it's
would you
super
grade
high.
something in this? You know,
Personally, I wouldn't even really grade it. I would
leave
go
it
by the
that way.
gold. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
go by the gold.
I
And
don't. What is that? A quarter? I hadn't even really looked at it.
well, I depend
20 francs. Yeah.
I depend on what they call the AGW, which is the actual gold weight, and it's always like a point with 3 or 4 numbers after that point. And the easiest formula is find out what coin you've got, identify it, then get the spec on it so you know what the actual gold weight is, the AGW, and whatever that 0.367 or whatever, times that by spot. That tells you exactly how much gold is in that, so you have a starting point. I'll give you an example. This little $2.50 Indian, $2.50 Indians, they have 0.12094. That's the number. So if we take a calculator, and we know that, let's just say, I'm going to round it off so it's easy. Gold closed Friday at 34.15. I got 34.15. So if we take 34.15 point times 0.12094, we get $413 and a penny. So this coin right here, it's a nice coin. It's uncirculated, right? It's right there. It's probably AU 58. I would say it was like mint state 60, 61. But we know we've got $413 worth of gold to start with.
Yeah, and then you got to add value for
then you got your collectability
right.
for what it is. So if this coin looked like our half that the Cowboys were kicking around from day one, if this coin looked like that, it's a $413 coin.
Yeah,
there's your base where you start.
Yeah, it could look like that too. That's old.
Yeah. and so that's kind of your starting point, and that way you know where your gold is.
Okay.
And then everybody's got their own preference on price guides. I like Gray Sheet, NGC, PCGS has a couple of websites.
Look at this stuff.
And so you kind of go from there. And again, you have to judge what you really like. If I really liked it, I don't mind paying $100 over, because it's not going anywhere. So do what you really want to do. I always say that. Do what you want to do, because it's going to be yours. But don't pay $826. That's double what the gold is. I mean, don't go crazy unless it's a key date or something. But anything common, you just use a little bit of common sense. Get your figures down so you know kind of a good starting point, and go from there. And most dealers respect that, because if you know how much gold is in one of these things, the dealer usually knows, hey, they've done their due diligence. So,
and you've got plenty of this for sale for sure. Have you seen one of those yet? That's the Republic of the Congo.
They're a new one.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have any yet, but
we've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them, I think, and they have the prehistoric series. I think I probably didn't bring any of those.
Some of these things, people like to just collect, and that's where you get into doing what you want to do. And if you're doing what you want to do, and probably one of the most popular things is kookaburras. Yeah, and the Australian kookaburras have a different design every year, and so they have a premium over just spot price. And that collectability on top of the silver, that actually helps a lot, because if you have a complete kookaburra collection,
we've got some.
I mean,
Yeah, we've
those
got
are a
some.
little lofty.
Yeah.
And so I'm not discouraging, the things like this, but if you want bulk and you don't care, get this. Um, it's a personal preference, and you're not going to go wrong.
I had just a terrible time pronouncing that, but that's a little, I guess, a little island off of
Nui.
New. Yeah, is that how you pronounce it?
That's the way I pronounce it.
Nui.
I hope it's right.
I mean, somebody. I mean, I've had viewers go, "Okay, here's how it's pronounced," and I'm like, "Okay."
I'm
Those are
I'm
pretty
probably
cool.
not going to go there, so
Yeah.
I'll be forgiven. Here. Now, if I go there, I'll study it
So
out.
our biggest goal is to educate old people and young people too, but young people are the ones that have time.
Yes.
Our time is almost gone for a lot of us.
Oh yeah.
And so is on silver, if you're on a budget, is it better to start out with little fractional pieces if you just don't have any money, or are you killing yourself premium wise by buying these? Because I know the premiums pretty high on
Right.
On a 1 gram bar. I mean,
They are.
what would,
There, there's 100 different answers to that question. It's a question that I think everybody asks, and you kind of got to go back and use your first two principles. Can I get it close to the spot price, even if it's 1 gram? Can I divide that down and get a reasonable price, or is somebody marking this up to $45 an ounce, and then they're dividing it by 31.1, and it seems like a small amount, but really you're paying a lot. So you've got to do your due diligence and figure out how much an ounce you're getting. And then the other thing is, if that's what you can afford, and that's what makes you happy, happiness is I mean,
right,
go for it, because
right.
that it's all going to add up in the end.
Well, I mean, and I do. I have great viewers, and I have some very intelligent ones too, and a lot of them will say, hey, stack the currency stuff, stack the Silver Eagles, the Krugerrands, Maple Leafs. I don't know that. I mean, if you live in the United States, should you stack the Silver Eagles, maybe the Canadian Maple Leafs? Does it really matter when it comes to currency coins? If something were to happen to us and we had to use this stuff to barter for food
Right.
and clothing and all that stuff, and maybe this to buy a car.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there's multiple answers to that too, and I don't think any of them are wrong. Now, here's the professor from El Reno Coin Shop.
Baby.
Here's the professor's opinion, and I give this because it's probably the most common sense thing that I've heard from anybody, and it seems to be more accepted. Your old, like the dimes,
Yeah,
and the old U.S. quarters and halves.
yeah.
It's going to be tough to take a 5-ounce deal like this and divide it up. This would have to be for something like, a bigger payment or whatever. Your day-to-day life, if the bottom dropped out of it and we were, buying eggs, milk, and bread, and some gas, I really honestly think this is going to be the way to go, because it eliminates the sovereign or private mint stuff, because everybody knows it's U.S. And where it came from.
So should people be stacking more of this stuff right here, like these Roosevelts and Mercury dimes? And
I think everybody should look at it just like we look at our paper money.
Yeah.
I think you should have some ones
Yeah,
I think you
there
should
you
have
go.
some fives. If you look at it
some
like
quarters.
exactly. I mean,
Nickels,
really,
dimes, yeah.
when we look at some of this stuff, I mean, really, what's the difference? It's really not. We've got to be able to be practical with it.
Where's it at? Okay. That's a $50, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and
I thought we had either a clad or a silver dollar in here. No, I have no idea what this is. I think it's just a token or something.
yeah, I honestly think that might be cupro nickel,
A what?
copper nickel. I don't think this is silver.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
Yeah.
probably silver, but well, let's can you bust out some of those beautiful old coins that
Yeah.
the viewers didn't get to see them last time?
Yeah.
And let's talk about why. I think what we ought to do is talk to the viewers about why we should diversify some of what we keep, and not all solid silver, not all solid gold. Let's go over here. Well, there's definitely plenty of cool stuff here.
Oh. Were you talking about like these? The dimes?
Those and the ones you had in the boxes, man. Now, some of that was really cool. Okay, what do we have? We have
these are 90% Franklins.
Those are 90%.
You mentioned that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've got, some of these that are kind of like the dimes I told you, they're uncirculated.
Wow.
And you can get these nice still. A lot of people, they, if you look, you can get these for just a little bit over, the grungy ones when you're buying your 90%. So I always tell everybody, look, shop around, get something that you really want.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't have. I mean, now this stuff right here, we just bought it because of what it was back in ancient times.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for value,
Right.
but just to have. But like all your stuff, when we did our in our last video a couple of weeks ago, where we did some trading, and then you pull out the boxes of amazing coins.
Oh yeah.
You got
uncirculated dime rolls like you bought,
Right.
and then just so so the viewers know, I do sell PCGS, and this is just a box I throw stuff in and bring out. But
So I mean, people shouldn't they diversify and have some of this numismatic stuff in their collection, because this is not just value of silver.
no, this
it's
is
value of what
and some
it
of
is.
it's not silver. Like like a coin like this right here. This is an actual metal. I don't even know if there's more than about 5 of them out there. According to PCGS, this is.
So
I think this
bronze?
is of 2 known, or 2 graded, I should say. Yeah, pardon me, that's a mistake.
This is?
Yes. And you can scan the barcode, and it'll come up on the PCGS site, and it's they're only I mean, they're not that expensive, and I've got an old price on it. I actually think they've gone down since then, but
What a cool
some of
thing to
those
have,
things are, I mean, if there's not very many of them and you can get it for the right price, that's kind of where I take my risk is, hey, there's only 2 graded. It's got to be worth something if somebody wants one. So I do that. Now, I will say this, whenever you get into like gold and you
Right.
get somebody and they got an American gold eagle, okay, and this is a American $20 gold piece.
Right.
This is only 90%, and it's not quite an ounce of gold, but this we do just like the other. The gold amount in this is 0.9 9675. And so you times that by spot, that tells you how much gold is in it.
Okay.
So there's your starting point. Now this one is graded PCGS. It's mint state 63. So this just commands more than its, yeah, I mean, it's more than its weight in gold. But here's the catch. Where this one is a 1920, this is a 1928. This one is collectible and it's in mint state. You have a 1 ounce Krugerrand, you have a 1 ounce American Eagle, you have a 1 ounce, whatever, a generic bar. Those are going to be whatever the spot price is. That's it. If gold takes a hit, let's just say next Friday, and it goes from 3,400 like it's currently at, and let's just say it goes down $150, which is not unheard of. Yeah. This coin right here ain't gonna move because it's a mint state collectible coin, and it helps those little hits like that. Now, if we were to take $1,000 loss or something, yes, it's going to affect your gold coins. But the beauty of having something like this in your collection is if gold goes up $1,000, this goes right along with it. And then you take those little hits like the $50, $100, not here, right? Only in your bullion. So
good thing to know.
Personally, I like these.
Okay.
And your silver dollars, your Morgans, similar, but a lot lower.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
silver, the margin's 100 to 1.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. But on your gold, if you're a little leery, if you've always thought, I'm not real sure, this is probably your way to go to start. And then when you get more comfortable with the way, the market rolls up and down, then you probably feel more comfortable getting into just bullion.
Well,
but these are something to think about.
Everybody think about that. That being said, we're gonna get off of here, maybe look at a few things and see what we can come up with. Guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down on there. Watch the professor's video. Guys, we're going for a goal of 100,000 views today. Today, guys. SSC here. Mrs. SSC, the professor.
Out.
We out.